Guys, today I'm going to be going over my Mr. Orfeo the Boulder Commander deck. It's a good commander, pretty budget. I pulled this out of, what was it? Nuka Penna. That's the one. Whenever you attack, a double target creature's power until end of turn. It looks really nice. Has little gold, little foil stuff on it. I liked it. When I got it, I wanted to make a commander deck out of it, so I did. Did have to take apart the Michael Tyrant deck that I had to make this deck fairly budget, just because I had a lot of good cards that I already had. We're gonna go ahead and go over the lands. Let's see how many lands we have, because sometimes I forget. So let's see, we have Blighted Woodland, pretty decent land. I mean, it can help you fetch for 2 basic lands, put on the battlefield taps, right? Crystal Grotto, I always like this land. Nice scry land. Sheltering Landscape, once again, can help fix your mana. Dranith Ruins. Temple of the False God is a pretty nice as well, but you need to have those lands. Temple of Abandon for green and red land. Thornspire Verge. A Gruul Turf, which is pretty nice. Wastewood Verge. Aether Drift came up clutch. Exotic Orchard. Command Tower. Path of Ancestry. Of course, you kind of have to have it in every deck. We got some forests. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 forests. For the black mana sources, a Mud Flat Village, pretty nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 black mana sources. I guess I'm counting this as a swamp, even though it's not a swamp. Mountains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mountains for your boy, for our lands. Not bad, good amount of lands. I've played this deck once. I mean, I played it a couple times and I've won once with it fairly recently. Last time I played. Let's take a look at the sorceries. I got Blood on the Snow. We want to blow up the board, destroy creatures and planeswalkers. You do it with Blood on the Snow. Come on. Breach the Multiverse, pretty good card. I kind of have some sort of graveyard synergy with this deck in a way, and it definitely helped me out. I'm gonna go over the last sorcery that's in my hand that won me the game last time I played. See the Unwritten. Once again, reveal 8 cards from your library, put a creature card to the battlefield, the rest in the graveyard. And typically you're gonna control creatures with a good amount of power in this deck, so you could put 2 creature cards instead of 1 with the Ferocious right there. Season of Gathering, this was a card I pulled randomly out of a Bloomborough pack. It's pretty nice. You put a 1/1 counter on creatures, they gain vigilance and trample. You can destroy artifacts or enchantments, or you can draw cards equal to the greatest power of creatures you control. So this is a good amount of value in 1 card. No wonder it's a mythic. Farseek, once again, we mainly use this to look for swamps or mountains. Kodama's Reach, more mana. Rise of the Dark Realms, this was a card recently. I had milled so many cards last time I had played, and I needed to draw a card that could win me the game or I would have lost. Drew this one, it resolved, and I had a way to give my creatures haste. So yeah, this card pretty damn clutch, not gonna lie. Now on to the artifacts. We got Swiftfoot Boots, of course. Wanna give Orfeo or just another big ass creature that we have hexproof and haste. Sword of Light and Shadow, this was a card that was in my Michael Tyrant deck that I just threw in this deck. So equipped creature gets +2/+2 protection from white and black. When it deals combat damage to a player, gain 3 life, and you can return a creature card from your graveyard to the hand. So typically in this deck, at least, we're gonna have a lot of creatures that are in the grave, so this works. Sword of Once and Future, the creature gets +2/+2 protection from blue and black. Whenever an equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, surveil 2, then cast an instant or sorcery mana value 2 or less without paying the mana cost. Pretty good. Skullsport Nexus, mainly getting this because we want to double target creature's power until the end of the turn. Felwar Stone to help with more mana. Conduit of Worlds, once again, a lot of lands are going to be in the graveyard, so this helps us play those lands that are in the graveyard. And we can also just choose an online permanent that's in the graveyard, and if we haven't cast a spell, we can cast it. All right, so Lumbering Worldwagon, this is one of the newer cards from Aether Drift that when it enters or attacks, you search your library for a basic card to put on the battlefield tapped. So, and the power is equal to the number of lands you control. So if you have a crap ton of lands, the power will be high. Use Orfeo attack, you can double this creature's power. It can be pretty high. Of course, we have Soul Ring and then Power Fist. When it equipped creature has trample, when it deals combat damage, put that many 1/1 counters on it. I like that artifact. Good equipment, good equipment. Let's see. Time for the instance. Time for the instance. So we have a Harrow here, sack a land, and we get 2 basic land cards. Put onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. Right. Rolling Regrowth, sack a land, same thing. Search library for 2 basic lands. Put on the battlefield tapped, shuffle. Dark Ritual. Yeah. Baleful Mastery, good way to exile creatures, especially in black. Baroque Intervention, permanents we control, getting hexproof and indestructible. Pretty golden. And then Entish Restoration. Once again, sack a land, search your library for 2 basic land cards, but we control a creature with a pretty high power. We get 3 basic land cards instead. This one is my favorite out of all the ones where we sack lands. Now let's see the enchantments. Here we have the Bow of Nilea. Attacking creatures have death touch, so typically they're going to be pretty high powered, probably going to have trample, and with this it gives them death touch, so it kind of puts our opponents in a bind, you know. So if we have trample, all we got to do is just hit them. It's basically going to deal 1 damage to them because of the death touch, and then the rest goes through. Pretty goated. Rhythm of the Wild can't be countered, and typically we're going to give our creatures haste when they enter the battlefield. Bitter Reunion, another haste enabler. Sacking it, creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. Blood Mist, at the beginning of combat, a 1 creature that we control gains double strike until end of turn. So we can double the power, get double strike. Pretty good. Monstrous Vortex. Whenever you cast a creature spell power 5 or greater, discover X, where X is that spell's mana value. Pretty good value, right? And then the Dictate of Erebos. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent sacks a creature. I had this one mainly for Micro Tyrant. Not sure if it really belongs here, but hey, Orfeo is in red, is in black, is in green, so we can use all those colors. And then Phyrexian Arena. I think I got this in the Foundations pre-release or something like that. Pretty decent though. Gives us more cards in hand. So now time for the best part. Time for the creatures. Majority of the creatures are gonna be some big beefy dudes. That didn't sound right, but they're gonna be beefy creatures. All right, so we have Cultivator Colossus. I have resolved this once, and I've gotten a crap ton of lands on the battlefield. Power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control. When it enters, put a land card from your hand to the battlefield tapped. Draw a card. Repeat the process. You can get a crap ton of lands with Cultivator Colossus. So that's why I put it in this deck. The power could be high. Double it with Orfeo and your golden. Plus it has trample, so that's always a plus. Coram the Undertaker. This has to do with mainly the a lot of cards are going to be in our graveyard, so the power is going to be equal to the greatest power among creature cards, and I do have some pretty high power creatures here. Woe's Pathfinder, mana, right? Infamous Cruel Claw. We could potentially cast a card by discarding a card rather than paying the mana cost. So if we can get something big, we just discard a card and then boom, you just put it on the battlefield, and now we have a free big creature. More mana, of course. Old One Eye. Oh, that's right. Trample. Other creatures you control have trample. When it enters the battlefield, create a 5/5, and at the beginning of pre-combat main phase, discard 2 cards, return them from the graveyard to the hand. Old One Eye from Warhammer. I think I have a good amount of Warhammer cards in this deck. Nessian Boar. All creatures able to block him do so, and when he becomes blocked by a creature, that creature's controller draws a card, so that kind of sucks, but we are killing those creatures typically. Gristlebrand. Pay 7 life, draw 7 cards. 7/7 has flying, lifelink. Does cost a shit ton, but there's ways we can get a lot of lands. Cultivator Colossus, Entis Restoration. This is a really good card in this deck, I believe, because you can double the power. Even if it dies, you're gaining 14 life. You can still draw 7 cards. Pretty good. This one, I debated this one. It is in the deck though. No more than 1 creature can attack each combat, so and no more than one creature can block each combat. So let's say I have a pretty big beefy trampler, only one creature can block for my opponents. They really can't stop that. So that was the mindset when putting this card into the deck. Aomer Marshal of Rohan from Lord of the Rings has haste. Whenever one or more attacking creatures you control die, untap all the creatures you control, and there's an additional combat phase, and it triggers once a turn. So this could be huge for us. This can win us games, man. Scar Guildmage, once again, creatures you control gain trample. That's the main reason I have him in this deck. World Spine Worm does cost a shit ton, but I have gotten this creature on the battlefield. Has trample, and plus when it dies, you get 3/5/5 worms with trample. And but the only bad thing is this card can't go in the graveyard, but we're chilling. Yargle and Multargle Hargle. This one's absolutely goated. It's just an 18/6, double the power. Goodness gracious. You're looking at a 36/6. If you give it trample, then you're just goated with the sauce, and you can probably just take someone out completely in one turn. Silverback Elder. I like this. Anytime you cast a creature spell, we do have a good amount of creatures in this deck. You can destroy artifacts or enchantments that are problematic. You can put lands onto the battlefield, or you can just gain life if you're running low. So that's pretty nice. Roaming Throne. Roaming Throne, we add this. We want to double up the triggers to Mr. Orfeo the Boulder. It's pretty good. There's a reason that this card is pretty damn expensive. But we have Delighted Halfling to prevent anybody countering our stuff. Majority of the big creatures we have in here are legendary, so this definitely helps out a crap ton. Steve the Goat. Don't really need to say anything else about this guy. This funny guy. Anzrag the Quake Mole. When he becomes blocked, untap each creature you control. After this combat phase, there's an additional combat phase. So we want to absolutely double the power and potentially give us an extra combat phase for our massive creatures. Ilharg the Raise Boar. When he attacks, you could put a creature from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. From the battlefield tapped and attacking, and return that creature to the hand at the beginning of the next end steps. It's pretty goated with the sauce. Micro Tyrant, because he could still be pretty. I mean, we should be doing a good amount of descending when we play this deck. So the power of Micro Tyrant should go higher as the game progresses, if he's even still alive. But Primordial Sage, we have a lot of creatures. We could draw cards off of them. Hermit Druid. This is a card that really just puts a crap ton of cards into the graveyard. But we kind of want that in this deck, at least. We have Hexmark Destroyer. Can only be blocked by 6 or more creatures. So that helps. We can bump up his power to 12. Potentially more. And there needs to be 6 or more creatures that can block him. So Grumgully the Generous buffs up our creatures that are non-humans. So that's pretty good. Ladamri, we can cheat out our massive creatures without paying mana costs. Just use Ladamri's ability. Akul the Unrepentant has flying and trample, so that's already a plus. We can also sack creatures and then put a creature from our hand onto the battlefield. So that can help us get big creatures, use Orfeo's ability, and attack for game. Underrealm Lich. This is another one that can put a lot of cards in the graveyard. So that's pretty nice. Lord of Extinction. The power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in all graveyards. So the power and toughness can be pretty damn massive with Lord of Extinction. Wish he had flying. Definitely looks like he's flying in the art here, but I don't know. Hierophant Biotitan. Goodness gracious. That's right. Has Vigilance, Reach, and Ward. And he can be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So we can definitely double this creature's power. It's 24/12. Shieldred the Whispering One. Swamp Walk. We can bring creatures back from the grave and force our opponents to sack at the beginning of their upkeep. Then we have Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre. What a goat. Annihilator 4. Indestructible. Can easily help us win games, guys. So that is the Orfeo the Boulder deck that I have. Pretty goated. This was just, I didn't plan this until I pulled them, which I guess that's, you know, how a lot of deck building goes nowadays. But I just really like the art of this card, and I wanted to make a deck out of it. And so far I've won a game. Yeah, 1 out of like 10, but it's pretty nice, pretty viable in my opinion. But yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.